7 April 2020, and General Chiwenga was recently in China where he was receiving treatment. And on his return, Spotlight Zimbabwe reports that he brought back a batch of experimental coronavirus vaccines. So these vaccines are already in Zimbabwe, and Spotlight Zimbabwe says these vaccines are meant to be used if there is a major breakout of coronavirus in Zimbabwe. This story was written by my brother Itai Mshekwe, and it's very interesting. He says these vaccines are being kept at a secret number of locations, but suspicion is that they're being kept at Manyame Air Base. So at Manyame Air Base, there are certain facilities that would allow those vaccines to be kept there, because as you know, a vaccine is not something that you can keep in you have special controlled requirements, like probably a freezer or certain temperatures that you need to maintain. So these vaccines being kept supposedly at Manyame Air Base. So this, according to Spotlight Zimbabwe, is part of the secret deal between China and Zimbabwe, under which China is going to officially set up a base in Manicaland in exchange for helping Zimbabwe to set up a special forces training facility in Kariba. And the vaccines are also meant to be used by the Chinese. There are about 20,000 Chinese nationals, as we speak, who are now resident in Zimbabwe. And in the case of a major breakout, the 20,000 Chinese are going to benefit from these vaccines. So this is all experimental. As you know, China went through the coronavirus outbreak, but they quickly arrested the situation. And recently, this week, the Chinese have reopened their businesses, and a small number of people, according to their official announcement, about 4,000 people died in China, compared to the United States right now, where 10,000 people have died, and the infections in the United States have passed the hundreds of thousands. China managed to keep the infections around 60,000. So this vaccine could have been the reason why they managed to keep those numbers so low. Also, Spotlight Zimbabwe reports that General Chiwenga himself was injected with this vaccine. This is very interesting. And that is why he did not go into quarantine when he came back from China. Right, so this is an interesting story. The cooperation between China and Zimbabwe getting bigger and bigger. So these guys are cooperating more and more. And as you can see, General Chiwenga is getting more and more powerful. Ever since General Chiwenga came back, he has done that press conference that I talked about yesterday. He's also in charge of 3 key task forces of the Zimbabwe government, which is the Joint Operations Command, JOC, the Food and Nutrition Committee, which just announced a 2.7 billion package, and recently the Coronavirus Task Force. So this is also very interesting because it links with this story. The Coronavirus Task Force was being headed by Minister Obadiah Moyo, but he failed to lead this task force. He did not do a good job at Wilkins Hospital, and when General Chiwenga came back, he took over at the insistence of the general. So the general said, Obadiah Moyo is not doing a good job. General Chiwenga, take over and do the right thing. So work on this coronavirus task force. So the Chinese afterwards went on to renovate Wilkins Hospital. They did a lot of work within the actual building, and this is also connected to this cooperation between Zimbabwe and China. So as I said, General Chiwenga, very, very powerful. He is reportedly getting ready to take over from Idi Mnangagwa after a deal was reached between himself, the generals, and Idi Mnangagwa, so that Mnangagwa steps down in exchange for immunity and cash, a cash package of around 10 million. If you read Spotlight Zimbabwe, you see a lot of this information that they've been putting out. These guys have got very important and well-connected connections within the military of Zimbabwe, so I always refer to them when I have to understand what is happening in the Zimbabwe military. Right, so this is what I wanted to give you, the update that I gave you, I wanted to give you today. General Chiwenga back in Zimbabwe. He brought vaccines, experimental vaccines from China that would be used in case of a major outbreak in Zimbabwe. And these vaccines are being kept at Manyame Air Base, most likely, as the facilities they allow such a vaccine to be kept in that location. Right, thank you very much for watching. If you're watching this on WhatsApp, send it to as many people as possible. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, please like, comment, and share.